Hey, what's happening, everybody? Once again, it's your boy, Mr. Pound for Pound himself. It is going down. We are going to talk about what's coming up September 17th. You know it's going down. Victor Ortiz, Floyd Mayweather Jr. making his comeback. It is going downtown. It's going to be cracking on that day. It's going to be a great fight. I'm here once again, Mr. Pound for Pound, with my boy, Mr. M2.
What's going on, YouTube?
All right, check it out. So we're going to just touch base on little things, give you a good little, maybe under 15-minute thing. I know people don't like listening to things too long, so I'm going to give you a little preview, then give you a little breakdown, then give you my prediction. Okay? Check it out. Here we go. So let's just recap Victor Ortiz's last three fights. I mean, Vivian Harris, Lamont Peterson, Andre Berto. Vivian Harris pretty much shot, right?
Definitely shot.
I mean, it wasn't really that much of a challenge. He fought my close friend Juan Lascano, and Juan should have beat him. Actually, Juan was coming on strong, actually, and just couldn't finish. But Lamont Peterson, good challenge. That was, majority draw. Wasn't too impressed with that fight. But Andre Berto fight, I mean, wow,
Yes, definitely wow. Fight of the year so far for me.
Yeah, great fight. Most definitely fight of the year. I remember sitting on the couch with Mr. M2 and my lovely associate, and she actually turned to me and said, you know what, guys, I think Victor Ortiz will pull this one off just due to style matchup. And, we took a look at it, and we were sitting on there. We said, you know what, Berto doesn't really bring that many tools to the table. He doesn't have an authoritative jab. He just kind of leaps in with the same old. He's just a strong young kid that has good stamina, and it's just the same old thing. It's like once you get used to a Berto style, he's beatable. He kind of reminds me of a Jermaine Taylor.
Yeah, I guess you could say something like that. One thing you could say about the jab is that Ortiz didn't really use a jab himself in that fight either, and he just kind of said, I'm just gonna come in here, smother this guy, and see what his power's like, and see if he could take my power, and then see who comes out on top. And Ortiz definitely came out on top in that one.
Most definitely. You're right. Ortiz didn't have a jab, which you do need in boxing, but he had a lot of other things that a jab would have offset. Like he was coming in with his lead right hands. He would do a right hand, left hook, and then just rush in with punches. A strong authoritative jab by Berto might have stopped all of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we could have definitely drawn some problems for Ortiz in that fight, but it wasn't there, and it made for a great fight. We enjoyed it, definitely.
I loved it. I thought it was a great fight. I mean, Ortiz was coming off a fight with, Maidana, that loss. Everyone questions his heart after that loss. Even in the interview, he kind of killed his self's own reputation by, I don't want to fight no more. But, when you're putting beatings on people, you want to fight. But then when you get a little bit of beating put on you, all of a sudden, I don't want to fight, man. I don't know if I should do this to myself.
You get the brakes beat off you one time and you're ready to hang him up. I mean, you can't really blame a lot of people for questioning him for that. I mean, I questioned him myself, which is why I picked Berto to win that fight. Yeah. And, he made me look bad.
Well, I had Berto to win the fight up until fight day. I don't remember if I changed my mind like last minute, remember? Yeah. When lovely associate was like, yeah, think about this. Let's think about it, So I think about it. Okay, I'm gonna roll with Victor on this one. But recap that fight. If you guys didn't watch it, Andre Berto was down in round 1. Ortiz down in round 2. Then both fighters went down in round 6. Then Ortiz the action, ensued on, and Ortiz lost a point in the 10th round for hitting behind the head. But Victor Ortiz came victorious, became champion. I love it. But let's go on to the man who he's fighting, who's still the man many consider pound for pound the best, still undefeated.
Not me, but...
And this is where we argue.
Yes, it is.
Anyway, Floyd Mayweather Jr., 41 wins, no losses, 25 by knockout. I mean, pound for pound the best in some people's eyes.
Well, it's hard for me to give a guy the best pound for pound when the guy doesn't really fight.
He fights.
It's been a while since we've seen the man in the ring. I got to give it to someone who's been busy, not saying that he's a bum or anything like that. He's a brilliant defensive boxer.
You're saying he's a bum.
No, he's not a bum. No, I'd be crazy to sit here and say that. But as far as number one pound for pound, I can't give it to a guy who just doesn't fight.
But you got to admit, it's a toss-up. He's at least If you don't want to give him pound for pound, he's at least in the top 3.
Oh well, like I said, it's just if let's just say if he was more active, okay, then I could accept that. But I mean,
he's active.
No, fighting once a year. I mean, that's just
doesn't matter.
That doesn't get it for me.
That doesn't matter.
That just doesn't get it for me.
He's still winning.
No, I'm not questioning the wins, but you got to be active to be pound for pound. I said, if he decides to say, you know what, I'm gonna fight more than once a year, and he stays undefeated, I have no problem putting him up there.
No, I mean I'm gonna agree to disagree. I think he is definitely number 1 or number 2 pound for pound. Right at the moment, my pound for pounds would be Floyd Mayweather, Pacquiao, and Sergio Martinez. You guys out there can make the order of which they go. Personally, don't have one. I think there's just 1A, 1B, 1C. I mean, Floyd Mayweather is gonna fight Victor Ortiz. We pretty much, everyone out there, if you don't know Floyd Mayweather, do your homework, because I'm not going to recap his whole career.
We don't need to speak on Mayweather.
I followed Mayweather before he was even popular, and I knew the guy was going to be something.
We watched him on Boxing After Dark.
Yeah, I mean,
knocking braids out of what's his name's hair, Emmanuel Burris.
Emmanuel Burton.
Burton, yeah.
That was a good fight.
That's how far we go back with this guy.
That was a really good fight.
That was when he was still the pretty boy.
Still pretty boy, back when he won his
wasn't money.
And stuff
Wasn't he didn't turn himself into a villain,
Yeah, I mean,
but
all the way back, even when he was fighting like Genaro Hernandez, when he won the title. I mean, stuff like that. Tony Pat,
Manfredi, guys like that.
Yeah, Hector Arroyo. When he fought my old coach Angelo Nunez, who sucks. And hopefully he hears this one day. He'll know my voice and say, "Hey, wait a minute, I know that guy." Okay, yeah, whatever. Horrible coach. Anyway,
we don't want to spend too much time on Mayweather. I mean, anybody who watches boxing knows exactly who he is and what he does in the ring. Yeah. We don't need to go over what he does.
Now, let's point this out. I'm going to point one thing out. The last time we saw him in a good scrap, Mr. Pound for Pound here, last time we saw him in a good scrap, which might be reminiscent to the Victor Ortiz fight, was Jose Luis Castillo. I think this is going to be reminiscent to that fight.
Yeah, it really could be. I think that, and me and you, whenever that was, how long ago was that? About 10 years ago, maybe? Close to it?
Yeah.
About 9 years ago when that fight first took place, me and you both disagreed. I thought Jose Luis Castillo won that fight, the first fight.
Very close.
Mayweather definitely won the second.
Yeah,
but I felt that he did enough. He took it to Mayweather all night long in that first fight. I felt he earned that win.
Yeah.
Second fight, different story.
Yeah, he came with a game plan.
Yes.
Second fight, he came and did his thing.
Yes.
First fight, we did disagree. You thought Jose won. Clearly, I thought it was
close, but I felt he definitely won it.
Well, you know what? I watched the fight here and there, and I think I watched it about 4 or 5 times, and I had different scorecards every time. You know what I'm saying? I had Castillo winning, and then I had Mayweather winning, and but the end result, if someone was asking me who you think won the fight, who you think, I would just say, I thought Mayweather eked it out, maybe. He's a bigger name, He was a bigger name, and they do judge that.
I mean, this is when Jose Luis Castillo literally came out of nowhere. Yeah. He was just Chavez's sparring partner at that point.
But had Jose Luis Castillo been a name, I would have said maybe he got the fight.
Could have been, could have been.
But back to the fight at hand, Ortiz. I think this fight's going to be reminiscent to that. Victor Ortiz has a very good chance. He's young. He's hungry. He seems to got that heart back that everyone discredited him losing against Maidana. Correct?
Yes, definitely. We're still new to this YouTube thing, so I've been very, very critical of Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao as well as far as their fight selection goes. Don't really, see a lot of tough challenges on the record from either one of them.
I gotta disagree.
Although I gotta give credit where credit's due. This is a tough challenge for Mayweather, coming back after all this time off to fight a young, hungry guy. I'm gonna give him credit for this one, for taking the fight.
Yeah, I totally disagree. But I'm gonna disagree with you. I say Mayweather's fought a lot of tough fights, but I agree with you on one thing. This is a young, almost undefeated fighter, but he's young, credible dude. He's young. That's what we wanted to see.
Young and hungry. We want to see Floyd and Manny, if they're not fighting each other, fight somebody young, hungry and not someone that, you have to move up to weight divisions or move down, or someone that's, pretty much past his prime, in there with. We want to see these guys tested. That's all.
Yeah, the last time we seen a Mayweather tested with an opponent like this who was young and hungry was Ricky Hatton. And Ricky Hatton was young, he was hungry, he was undefeated, he was confident. And that was a good fight. Until Mayweather knocked him out, it was a good fight.
Yeah, and that was one of only 2 guys on Mayweather's record that was undefeated, which is something that, is not talked about enough. The other guy who we fought that was undefeated at the time when they had their fight was the late, great, entertaining Diego Corrales.
Yeah, that's true. 2
career-defining fights for me. Corrales, Hatton, both undefeated, beat them both. And the rest, I can't really say too much about.
I can. This is where me and Mr. M2 will agree to disagree, because I'm not going to go strictly off the undefeated banner, because there are a lot of people on Mayweather's record that had good records. They were contenders. Because it's the same argument people give me about Tyson. They always say, well, Tyson never fought nobody else. Well, go back on the career. Look at the record. He's beating guys, #1 contenders, really good records.
Yeah, but did these guys really have a shot, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, they had a shot.
Like, let's say that's another story. I don't want to get too caught up in that. But.
They had a shot. Everybody on any given day has a shot.
Oh, yeah, well, one punch could end any fight. But, let's be honest with ourselves. A lot of these guys, like, let's say the Gotti fight, the Mitchell fight, the Baldomir fight. Juan Manuel Marquez, did these guys really, really have a shot? We all know that, Mosley, Juan Manuel, these guys are definitely Hall of Famers, and they're on his record. But we all know that, Marquez had to move up, gain a lot of weight. He was slow, too small. And let's say Shane, he was pretty much old at that point. He had a couple of good rounds in him, and that was it. He was done.
Correct, yeah. So maybe it's just my old school way of thinking, but I do give Mayweather credit for these fights. The reason why is back in the day, Sugar Ray Robinson days, even the Ray Leonard days, when people were considered shot, they were still dangerous, you know what I mean? And
well, anybody's dangerous that has 2 fists.
Correct. Yeah, so I think the Marquez fight, obviously too small. Shane Mosley, too old. Ricky Hatton, whatever. But this Victor Ortiz is a different story.
Yes, and that's why I'm giving him credit for it. So I know there's a lot of pack-tards out there that will say, well, why is he fighting Victor Ortiz? This guy is nothing. So what, he beat Berto? Berto was a somebody. Before he got beat.
Yeah, Berto was
a somebody. Let's just be honest here.
Yeah,
Berto and he went in there and he went in there and put a beating on him at some points in that fight. It was back and forth, but let's be honest here. He took the fair share of punishment in that fight. Berto did, and that's because of Ortiz. And I gotta give Mayweather credit for this one.
Berto got banged.
Yes,
so did Ortiz, but Berto he's got it handed to him.
I think he got his will broke in that fight.
He did. Yeah. He knows now he could be beat. Thing people got to understand about Victor Ortiz, let's say the pack-tards and the people out there that are saying, oh, why isn't he fighting Manny Pacquiao? I wouldn't blame him for not fighting Manny Pacquiao. Right now, I don't know if I would fight Manny Pacquiao if I were Floyd either. You got money. You got to understand people out there. He's got millions of dollars. Think about it. If you guys had millions of dollars, you got a nice face, you got a brain about yourself, you kind of flamboyant. Are you really going to want to fight a dude as vicious and rough and tough as Manny Pacquiao? Not. You're going to fight him when you want to, because you're already rich, so you don't really need these big paychecks they're throwing at you. I can see why he's waiting. But on the flip side of that, I'm a true boxing fan and historian.
You got
to
talk legacy.
You want to talk
things like this.
Yeah, Floyd can't sit on the couch on HBO 24/7 and sit there and say, I'm better than Muhammad Ali, I'm better than this, without fighting a Manny Pacquiao.
Yes, these guys like that he's comparing himself to, or even better than, they would have never let this fight pass him up. Blood test or not, let's get in there and do it.
Correct.
And that's for both of them. Mayweather threw the challenge out there, said, let's take the test. Manny said no, and then Manny says okay, and then now it's Mayweather on the other side saying no. So it's both guys are to blame here. I don't want to pick sides, but legacy-wise, both of these guys are in question. They need to fight each other at some point.